हेलो एवरीवन। कल हमने गुड फ्राइडे ऑब्जर्व करा where the lamb of God was slain for our salvation, and today is quite Saturday. It's the Sabbath rest according to the law. But today is quiet Saturday where Jesus rested from his work. About this rest, if we see, God had been training his people. In the Old Testament, we see they were told to observe the Sabbath, a weekly rest, the Sabbath rest. Then they were told to observe the seventh year, the rest, where the slaves were set free, where they did not till the land, they did not grow any crop, they rested. And God provided for them beforehand. They had manna on the sixth day, enough for them to last the next day as well. And the crops, they had enough in the sixth year that they never had to do any work. So we see God had been conditioning his people about the Sabbath rest, the promised rest. I would like to read a few lines from Hebrews chapter 3. My fellow believers, be careful that no one among you has a heart so evil and unbelieving that he will turn away from the living God. Verse 16. Who were the people who heard God's voice and rebelled against him? All those who were led out of Egypt by Moses. With whom was God angry for 40 years? With the people who sinned, who fell down dead in the desert. When God made his solemn promise, they will never enter the land where I would have given them rest. Of whom was he speaking? Of those who rebelled. We see then that they were not able to enter the land because they did not believe. Now God has offered us the promise that we may receive that rest he spoke about. Let us take care then that none of you will be found to have failed to receive that promised rest. For we have heard the good news just as they did. They heard the message, but it did them no good, because when they heard it, they did not accept it with faith. We who believe then do receive that rest which God promised, just as he said. So in the background, I think you can hear the drums playing. Jubilation. Jubilation for us, because God rested from his work and he has opened the gates for us. A good reason for us to rejoice. So yes, we enter that rest. God had been training his people about Sabbath. The Old Testament, we read throughout Old Testament. But still when they came to Canaan, they failed and they died because of their rebellion, because of their unbelief. They did not enter that promised land. So the word tells us that we should not be like those people who died because of their unbelief. We receive this salvation just by faith. So today is that Sabbath rest, the Sabbath rest that we enter into because of Jesus, because of his finished work. For it is by grace, God's grace, through faith, our faith. It is through grace and our faith that we have been saved, and not by any works. We are not under the law, we are under grace. We don't have to do anything, we don't have to strive. It has been done for us, we receive it by faith, and we enter into this rest, the Sabbath rest. which God has prepared for us. The Sabbath rest. Who is that Sabbath rest? It is Jesus. Jesus is our Sabbath rest. Shalom.